All right, this is the translation homework. The directions say, write an equation to represent each of the following equations. All right, so number 1 says, the number of hot dogs needed for the picnic is 2 for each student. So we want to figure out how many hot dogs we're going to need to buy if each student gets 2. So we're going to use an H to represent the number of hot dogs. And we know that it's 2 per student. Well, we don't know how many students there are, so we're going to have to use another variable to represent the number of students. So we have to write an equation. So when we did these word problems in class, we would set up a statement that said the equation is, and in this case, the number of hot dogs is going to be equal to, well, it's 2 hot dogs per student. So we would have to take 2 hot dogs and multiply it by the number of students. That's how you're going to set up these equations. Take a look at number 2. A taxi fare is $2 just to get in, plus it's $1.10 for every mile that you go. So we're going to have to use a T to figure out the total taxi fare. And since we don't know the number of miles that we're going, we're going to use an M to represent the number of miles. So to figure out our total fare, we would have to do $2 plus $1.10 times the number of miles. So the equation is T equals $2 plus $1.10 per mile. All right, let's set the other 2 up and then you try and do them. The amount of material needed to make the curtains is 4 3/8 yards per window. So the amount of material, and it's 4 3/8 yards per window. Well, we don't know the amount of material, so let's use an M to be the amount of material. And we also don't know how many windows, so we're going to have to use a W to represent the number of windows. So our equation is going to have to be, we want to figure out M, the amount of material. If it's 4 3/8 yards per window, and we don't know how many windows, you're going to have to set up an equation showing 4 3/8 times the number of windows. So if you do that, you're going to put the 4 3/8 here, and then you're going to have to figure out, okay, how am I going to represent 4 3/8 per window? So I'll let you finish that one. This one says Mary's income is $175 per week. So we want to figure out her income, or total income. So this is going to be the amount of income. And they didn't tell us how many weeks we're figuring it out for, so we're going to say W equals the number of weeks. Okay, so our equation is, well, our income is going to be equal to, well, if it's $175 for 1 week, we're going to have to figure out how to write an equation to figure it out for any number of weeks. So I'll let you guys figure out how to write that equation. Take a look down at the bottom. This is just like we were doing in class. It says write and solve 2 different equations using inverse operations for these real world problems. So look at number 1. Vincent and some friends share the cost of a package of blank CDs. The package costs $24, and each person puts in $6. So write and solve two different equations using inverse operations to find out how many people split the cost. Okay, so we don't know how many people, so that's our variable. What we're trying to find out is the number of people that split the cost. So we know that each package of CDs is $24. And if we divide that $24 by 6, that's going to give us the number of people. We could also write it as an equation as if there is $6 per person, that's going to be able to pay the $24 for the package. So there's two different equations that we could use to figure this out. So if I solve, 24 divided by 6 is 4. And if I solve this one, the opposite of times 6 is to divide both sides by 6. We also get 4. Okay, so our answer statement is going to look like this. We want to find out how many people split the cost. Well, blank people split the cost. And we figured that out to be 4 people. And here are the two different equations that we use to figure it out. All right, so flip it to the back. Take a look at number 2. The total time to burn a CD is 18 minutes. Last weekend, Dimitri spent 90 minutes burning CDs. Same thing, write and solve two different equations that can be used to represent how many CDs Dimitri burned. That's what we're looking for. So, Dimitri burned blank CDs. That's what we're trying to figure out. Okay, so we don't know the number of CDs, so I'm going to use C to be the number of CDs. So you guys are going to have to set up two equations. So let me give you one. If we said it took 90 minutes to burn all the CDs and each one took 18 minutes, I could do 90 divided by 18 minutes to come up with the number of CDs. That would be one equation. And then I would solve. And we would have to write one more equation to solve. So I'm going to leave that one for you guys to figure out the second equation. All right. You can pause the video to do that or keep going with number 3. A jewelry store is selling 4 pairs of gemstone earrings for $58. That includes tax. Neva and 3 of her friends want to buy the set so each of them could have 1 pair of earrings. Write and solve two different equations using inverse operations that can be used to find out how much each person should pay. So we're looking for how much each person should pay. So each person should pay how much money? That's what we're looking for. Well, if it's $58 for 4 pairs, we could take the $58 and divide it by 4, and that would give us the price that each person would have to pay. So I'm going to define the variable P, and that's the price each person should pay. So 58 divided by 4 would give us that price. And you guys see if you can come up with a second equation. All right, take a look at 4. It says the weight of an object on the moon is 1/6 that of its weight on Earth. If an object weighs 35 pounds on the moon, then write and solve two different equations to figure out its weight on Earth. Okay, well, we're looking for the weight on Earth. So let's use W to be the weight on Earth. Okay, and we're going to say the weight on Earth is, that's our answer statement. Okay, so if I do this, I could write an equation saying 1/6 times its weight on Earth is 35 pounds on the moon. So that's one way we could set up an equation to solve. You guys see if you can come up with the second equation. All right, take a look at number 5. Chen's buying a ham. He wants to divide it into 3-ounce servings for 12 people. I'm going to solve 2 equations to find what size ham Chen should buy. So H is going to equal the size ham Chen will buy. So our answer statement is going to be the size ham Chen should buy is. So one way we could do that is we could say, well, if there are going to be, if the ham weighs, or if the ham is H, that's the size of the ham, and we need to divide it by 12 people, and each person is going to get 3 ounces, what would that size ham be? How many ounces should it be? So that's one way to solve it. So you guys can figure out what's another equation that we could use to solve it. All right, so then the last one, number 6, says 1/3 of a bird's eggs hatched. If 2 eggs hatched, write and solve 2 different equations using inverse operations that can be used to find how many eggs the bird laid. Okay, so we're going to use an H for the number of eggs the bird laid, because that's what we're trying to find. How many eggs, number of eggs the bird laid. Okay. So, what we can do is we can take, it says 1/3 of the eggs that hatched, or 1/3 of the bird's eggs hatched. So 1/3 of the eggs that the bird laid hatched, and that was 2 eggs. So 1/3 of the hatched eggs, or 1/3 of the total eggs, sorry, that hatched were 2. So that's one equation that we can use. I'm going to let you guys figure out the second equation, and then your answer statement would be the bird laid blank eggs.